What's up, everybody? This is the Jedi. First, a shout out to Samantha Latimer. Shout out to you, Samantha. And I'm not sure if you were the person who originally had mentioned this to me before, and then now you were mentioning it again. I feel like there was a live stream too that you or somebody else mentioned this in, or somebody mentioned this, and I'm like, well, bring me something on it or tell me something, you know. So maybe that was you, but this is you. So shout out to Samantha Latimer. Um, by the way, interesting that from what I can see of your thumbnail, it's interesting that your last name is Latimer because my baby sister's best friend has the same last name as you. Her name is Kanjani, and her last name is Latimer. And besides the singer and y'all two, I don't know no other Latimers. Random, but I just thought I would share that. All right. Um, so appreciate you. And also, I want to remind everybody that we will be doing that Skype session today. That I put the video out announcing. Um, my life is never without bad luck. So know that I will be using my old web camera that I have been using before I got the new one, because yesterday after we did the session, I kicked my web camera and ruined it. So I'm gonna have to find the receipt, take it back, and I'm over it, and I'm over it, and I'm over it. I'm over it. Anyways, this was a piece of our history that I was not aware of, everybody. And so therefore it is new and unknown. You know, I always tell you, no matter when you arrive at knowledge, if it's new to you, damn it, it's new. Don't let anybody put a date on your knowledge, ever. Ever. And even when you're learning something in front of people and they go, "You didn't know that?" Just know that they have the problem, that you're in the presence of people who are not intellectual or mature even. You see, life is a journey. And so whatever you learn, if you learn it when you're 90, it matters. That's why we always see these stories coming out of, 91-year-old woman goes back to school and gets her degree. It's new to her, and we should celebrate her just the same we would celebrate that 17-year-old that's graduating from Yale like I did. But that's going to be in the book. All right, settle down. I don't want to get into it. All right. And then you're going to want to know about me being dean of students at Harvard, and I'm not going to get into that. All right, we're on this right now. Settle down. Now, so this is new. Um, Black babies used as alligator bait in Florida. Go find me now, anywhere in history, just anywhere, where black people have fed white devil babies to alligators. I'd like to see that report. Just like to see that history. Just like to see it. Obviously, I'm being facetious because, as I tell you, there's no equivalent to the evil of these people. No equivalent. No equivalent anywhere on earth and in the history of existence. I need to be very clear about that. I need to be very clear about that. And I'm going to share something else with you that I think is relatable to what we're discussing here. And that is, I just recently, I don't know, yesterday, I saw a video. It was one of these videos about, people that were, some guy, he was high up in the government at Area 51. He was on his deathbed, and now he's talking, and they were interviewing him at his hospice place, and da 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 da. And he died shortly after giving this interview. But one of the things that he talked about was how they are into um, organ and cell regeneration. Organ and cell regeneration. And so, which is not unfamiliar to us, we'd at least have a cursory understanding of that at the very least. But the fact is they're doing the shit so that they can live longer. And he cited Henry Kissinger. He said Henry Kissinger, I'm going to paraphrase his words on this part now. Basically, he should have been dead, you know. that there's definitely been some regeneration going on with him, you know. And Henry Kissinger sounds like the devil. He looks like the devil. He is the devil, and I can't. um, so just a little tidbit on that. Uh, but let's get into this now and see what's going on. I also have a video that I'm associating with this as well. The caption says, "This postcard is from a guy who collects memorabilia." So this was a postcard. You see, just like they used to send out flyers and all of it and advertise when they were going to burn an African at the stake or lynch us. You see, the white man is the devil, and they need to acknowledge that. You see, but we get this denial from them. Well, I didn't do anything. Well, you can well, if you didn't personally commit the crime, then you at least have to acknowledge that your people are devilish, and then feel shameful for that and be as outraged and upset as we are. Otherwise, you are complicit, and you're just as devilish as them. Period. You don't just get a smooth cakewalk through this. You see, a cobra is still a cobra, whether it bites you or not. Same with a rattlesnake. Same with a mountain lion. Anything you want to name that's dangerous to humanity. So there's the postcard. All right. Now, let's bring this in so everybody can see you guys. I'm sorry. Let me enlarge this. Okay, there. All right. I'm always trying to consider my audience, you know, and everybody's not on a 50-inch screen. And, you know, some people are on their phones and some people are on a tablet and da 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 da. So I try to consider you. All right. It has been pretty well documented recently. This is from 2014, by the way, February of 2014. It has been pretty well documented recently that during slavery and into the 20th century, African babies were used as alligator bait in North and Central Florida. A guy in Sanford near Orlando told this story to a researcher. He said he had heard it from his grandfather. So I guess this is the story engraved. The slaves who had babies, they would steal the babies during the course of the day, sometimes when their mothers weren't watching. We throw that out because, like, as if that would suggest that they were afraid of the mother when they owned her. So throw that out. But we'll read it as it's written. They would steal the babies during the course of the day, sometimes when the mothers weren't watching. Some would be infants, some would be a year old, he said, or some would be a year old. He said some would be toddlers. He said they would grab these children and take them down to the swamp and leave them in the pens like little chicken coops. And leave them in pens like little chicken coops. I'm getting worked up. They would go down there at night, take these babies, and tie them up, put a rope around their neck and around their torso, around here, and tie it tight. They'd be screaming. What they were doing would help them to chum the water. He said when they would throw the babies in tied to the rope, he said in a matter of minutes, he said the alligators were on them. He said the alligator would clamp its jaws on that child. As a matter of fact, once he clamped on them, he was really swallowed. He said you couldn't see anything but the rope. Some would be infants, some would be a year old, toddlers, some would be infants. Only a devil, a demonic entity could do that. Do you understand me? Only a demonic thing could do that. A spawn of Satan. Not a human being, that's out. Throw that out. You're talking about the incarnate of the devil. These are the same people now in 2018 would say, well, black women are giving are having so many abortions, and they're just having abortions. Always trying to find something in existence that equals their evil, and there is none. There is none. This is why we say, I speak for all of us, that they don't know a damn thing about racism. A damn thing. They don't know a damn thing about hate. Do you understand? And bigotry, because they are the dispensers of it, the creators of it. Are you following me? These quotes are all from the video embedded below, which was posted on reunionblackfamily.com. There is more proof, though, according the blog Abagond. I think they meant according to the blog Abagond. All right. Time magazine in 1923 reported the practice had taken place in Chipley, Florida, but the town denied it as, quote, a silly lie, false and absurd, said the white devil. And there is an account of it in Copper Sun, a 2006 book by Sharon Draper. Moreover, according to Abagond, alligator bait, end quote, was a term used in Harlem in the early part of the century to refer to black children from Florida. A blog from Ferris State University implies the practice continued into the 20th century. In 1908, the Washington Times reported that a keeper at the New York Zoological Garden had baited, quote, alligators with pickaninnies, end quote. And on September 21, 1923, the Oakland Tribune reported pickaninny bait lures voracious gator to death, and mothers get her baby back in perfect condition. And mother gets her baby back in perfect condition. And $2. Okay, that video we're not playing. I have another one. And then it tells who the writer is, and we're over it. All right, that's the end of that. All right, let's see this video, and then I will do my dissertation and my closing.
A lot of you may not know this, but our children.
Let me say this before we. I actually really like this lady. She came under my radar way back when I first started doing YouTube videos back in 2014. And I feel like I reached out to her a couple times, but she never got back to me. They're these Hebrew Israelite people. But what sets her apart for me from the rest of them that annoy me is she is sincere. She doesn't come across as dogmatic and hostile. But what I'm most impressed by her is some of the stuff that I would hear her talking about, and I haven't watched her in probably since 2014. Y'all know that some stuff that she would talk about would send me into a rant. But she's able to maintain, a certain decorum of calm about her, and I marvel at that. Because y'all know I go from zero to kill, So I just wanted to give that props, And she's so close to the truth. I think that's probably why I reached out to her. Whatever I saw of her at that time, I just felt like I just wanted to just inspire her to just, please, for the love of God, can you just look at Islam? Can you just look? Can you just look? But anyways, I wanted to share that. Let's pick this up and go on.
A lot of you may not know this, but our children were used as gator bait. You may have heard that term before. Gator bait is referencing.
Okay, I also have to say this. She's also very beautiful too. Like she has really beautiful skin. I've never seen her in makeup, and she is exquisite, exquisite, beautiful, just beautiful. All right, shut up, Jedi. Shut your ass up.
Were used as gator bait. You may have heard that term before. Gator bait is referencing how the slave master would take our children, tie ropes around them, and use their bodies to catch alligators. Now that is some evil stuff right there.
Over the years, I've been collecting artifacts. As a matter of fact, I've been collecting little pencils like this. I've seen alligators on jars. I've seen alligator ashtrays, and I've seen them depicted with kids in it. And I was wondering why the children would be there. As a matter of fact, this particular pencil sharpener, this is a pencil sharpener or a pencil holder with a black head of a baby sitting out of its mouth. I didn't pay any attention. I have been collecting for quite a few years, and I have the posters and things like that about different things. And then one day I was down in Florida. I'd gone down with my wife, and I took a trip for myself off to the Wild Blue Yonder, going out to hunt artifacts. And in my quest to hunt artifacts, I came upon a pawn shop in Sanford, Florida. In the pawn shop was a gentleman who owned it. They went and got him and told him I was there, and I wanted to buy some of the shackles.
I gotta point out that Sanford is where we lost Trayvon Martin. Wait, is that they're saying that on Sanford, Florida, the home? Oh my God! Wallahi, I didn't see that on the screen. I swear by Allah, everybody, when he said Sanford, I said I gotta stop because that's Trayvon Martin. And what does it say on the? I could just see it. It says Sanford, Florida, the home of George fucking fat ass bitch ass Zimmerman, the man that killed Trayvon Martin. Yeah. Okay. So I appreciate that. I was on top of that. Okay. Shut up, Jedi.
In the pawn shop was a gentleman who owned it. They went and got him and told him I was there, and I wanted to buy some of the shackles he had hanging around the walls. I asked him, could I buy them? He said no. He didn't want to sell anything. He just wanted me to see it. Then we began to talk. And I asked him, I said, look, please let me buy something. I got to take something from here. He says, no. He says, I don't want to sell anything. He said, but look, I'm going to the back and I'll sit down. Meanwhile, he came out. And came back out and began to talk to me. He said, you know, he said, you probably don't know this. He said, but years ago, he said, my grandfather, before he died, told me of the things they would do. He said he would go down. He said his grandfather said they would go down and they would take babies with them. I said, what do you mean babies? He says, well, let me tell you. He said the slaves who had babies, they would steal the babies during the course of the day, sometimes when the mothers weren't watching. I said, what do you mean babies? I said, you mean babies like 5 or 6 years old? He says, no. These babies, some would be infants, some would be a year old. He said some would be toddlers. He said they would grab these children and take them down to the swamp and leave them in pens like little chicken coops. They would go down there at night, take these babies and tie them up because they hunted the big bull alligators. These big bull alligators were not raised on farms. They were in the wild. These alligators would weigh 600, 700, 800 pounds. Those are the ones they wanted. They would skin them, make the wallets, get the meat, do different things with them. He said, but what they were doing was tie them up, put a rope around their neck and around their torso, around here, and tie it tight. He said, I said, well, what would the babies be doing? He said, well, my grandfather said they'd be screaming. He said, what would you do? He said, just let them scream. He said, what they would do, he would help them to chum the water. He said, when they would throw the babies in tied to this rope, he said, in a matter of minutes, he said, the alligators were on them. He said, the alligators would clamp his jaws on that child. As a matter of fact, once he clamped on him, he was really swallowed. You couldn't see anything but the rope. And we would pull the alligator in and tie his nose and hit him in the head with an axe, a pickaxe. He said, we would then drag him to the shore. We'd drag him to the shore and leave him lay, and we would do it again, maybe 2 or 3 times a night. He said, I said, so what do you mean? He said, well, yeah, they were taking these babies and killing them for alligator bait. I said, so all these things I've been collecting, are really, really something that I can really talk about and say they're of a truth? by what you say, he said, I'm telling you, he said, nobody wants to talk about it. He said, I'm only telling you because you're here. I may never hear from you again. He said, but these things actually depict the acts that they did to slave babies back in the Bayou country and down the south. They did this. They hung on alligators with these babies. That's why they call alligator bait.
The devil.
Black.
Oh, here they go. For he hath brought a nation upon them from far, a shameless nation, and of a strange language, who neither reverenced old men nor pitied child.
From the popular.
The devil. The devil. The devil. You must call a thing a thing. You must. And as I always tell you, language is important. How you speak and think about anything is how you relate and react to that. If you know that a fire is hot, you react as such. But if nobody's ever told you that, you don't react like that. If you want to walk around the earth talking about we're all the same and they're human beings just like us and there's just some bad people in every race and all that, you are in a nebula. Some dark, antiquated, prehistoric nebula of ignorance. Do you understand what I'm telling you? And the more we dig, all we find is evil. The more we dig, all we find is evil, savagery, and demonic acts from these people across the centuries. I ask you, where the fuck are the good ones?